I've had a good morning. I've removed the compressor, the air conditioning compressor, and the bracket. As you can see now, it's all gone. And the pipework. The difficulty I had was getting the expansion valve disconnected. There were two pipes or three pipes going into the front of the expansion valve held by two Allen bolts. I got the Allen bolts out okay, but I couldn't then pull the pipes off the front of the expansion valve. In the end, I had to get a bit brutal and use a screwdriver and a soft face hammer to sort of wedge between the bit that needed to come off and the actual main body of the expansion valve. Once I got that off, there were two Torx bolts that held a plate that goes behind these two pipes and holds them against the back of the expansion valve. Those two Torx bolts came out really easily, and as soon as I released those, the expansion valve body just came off quite simply. So what would be nice now is to remove the air conditioning matrix out of the car. That's a really big job. You have to dismantle the whole of the dash to do it. So I don't want to get into that for the moment because I want to get this done by mid-March, because I'd like to take it on track day to have a bit of a shakedown run with the car, and I've still got quite a bit to do, so I'm not going to start dismantling the dash at this point. So that's the air conditioning delete finished. I guess I didn't really speak much about the cooling matrix at the front. It's in front of the radiator, so you've got to get the radiator out. I'd already put a hole through my radiator when I was working on the car, so I've bought another radiator. It's not the end of the world actually, because I had debated replacing the radiator anyway, because I think it's probably the original one, and I felt that it would be better if I had a clean radiator. Obviously I had to get the air conditioning degassed, and I booked a guy to come and do it. He came and he said he couldn't do it because he needed to get his van alongside the car, and as you can see, the car's got no suspension on it and there's no way he was going to get a van in here. So I was a bit despondent, but one thing he did tell me was, he said, well, the caps for the air conditioning, it's just a Schrader valve underneath them, and it might be worth checking that it's got gas in it. So I just pushed on the Schrader valve very slightly and found there was no gas in the system at all. And when I got the matrix off, which is just here, you can see there's quite a lot of damage. And I don't think it had any gas in it anyway. Well, it didn't have any gas in it anyway. So that enabled me to crack on. But that does raise one issue when you're doing this. Get the air conditioning degassed before you start to take the car apart, because otherwise you're going to have really big problems. So make sure that one of the first things you do is degas the air conditioning if you plan to delete it. And in fact, even if you don't plan to delete it, the chances are you're going to want to get the engine out of the car, or you're going to want to do some sort of quite significant work, and you'll probably have to disconnect it all anyway. So it's worth bearing in mind that you need to do that while it's on four wheels. So I hope that helps.